So your garbage disposal has been giving off that smell. You know the one. That mysterious funk that hits you every time you run the water, and no amount of dish soap or lemon-scented cleaner seems to kill it. Maybe you've heard that throwing ice cubes and vinegar down there will fix it, but you're not sure if that's a real fix or just another internet trick that doesn't actually do anything. Well, I'm going to show you exactly what happens when you pour ice and vinegar into your garbage disposal, and more importantly, I'm going to explain why it works. We're going from the ice pour all the way through a complete deodorizing routine. And stick around to the end because I'll give you a simple 2-minute monthly schedule that keeps your disposal running clean and smelling fresh so you never deal with this problem again. Let's get into it. Cleaning your garbage disposal is one of those things almost nobody does until the smell gets bad enough to notice. But here's the thing. Once you understand what's actually going on inside that unit, you'll realize how easy it is to keep it clean. And this one skill can save you from a service call you don't need. So let's start with what's really inside your disposal, because there's a big myth we need to clear up first. A lot of people think a garbage disposal has sharp blades spinning around in there like a blender. That's not how it works. There are no blades. What you actually have are 2 small metal pieces called impellers. They're blunt. They don't cut anything. They sit on a spinning plate called the impeller plate, and when the motor runs, that plate spins and centrifugal force flings the food outward against a stationary ring called the grind ring. The grind ring is textured, almost like a cheese grater, and that's where the food gets shredded into tiny particles small enough to wash down the drain. So when someone tells you that ice sharpens the blades, that's just not true. There are no blades to sharpen. What ice actually does, and this is important, is scour the caked-on food residue off the impeller plate and the grind ring through pure agitation. The ice chunks bounce around in there, knock loose the buildup, and clean surfaces that you physically cannot reach with a brush. Once you understand that, the ice trick goes from sounding like a gimmick to making complete mechanical sense. And the vinegar? That's your disinfectant. It kills the bacteria that cause the odor. Together, they're a legitimate cleaning method. Now let's do it right. Before you put your hands anywhere near that disposal, you need to make sure the power's off. I don't care if you've done this 100 times. Respect the machine. Walk over to your breaker panel and flip the breaker that controls your disposal. If you don't know which one it is, flip the switch on the wall that runs the unit, then go to the panel and start flipping breakers until you find the one that kills power to it. Once it's off, go back to the sink and flip the wall switch on and off to confirm it's dead. Nothing should happen. No hum, no vibration, nothing. Now, for the ice and vinegar step we're about to do, you'll actually turn the power back on because you need the unit running. But I want you to start with it off so you can take a look inside first. Grab a flashlight and look down into the disposal. You're going to see the impeller plate at the bottom and probably a ring of dark gunk built up around the edges and on the grind ring walls. That gunk is old food residue, grease, and bacteria. That's what smells. That's what we're about to blast loose. All right, go flip your breaker back on. It's time to clean this thing out. Here's the method, and it's dead simple. Take a full tray of ice cubes and dump them into the disposal. You want to fill the chamber. Don't be shy with it. Pack it in there. A standard ice tray works fine, but if you've got a bag of ice in the freezer, even better. You want enough ice to really fill that cavity so the cubes have maximum contact with the impeller plate and grind ring. Now pour 1 cup of plain white vinegar right over the top of the ice. Regular white vinegar from the grocery store, nothing fancy. It's going to fizz a little and start to seep down between the cubes, and that's exactly what you want. Now here's the upgrade version if you want to plan ahead for next time. Pour white vinegar into your ice cube tray and freeze it. Vinegar ice cubes give you the scouring action and the disinfecting power in one shot, and they last longer in the chamber before melting, which means more cleaning time. Either way works, but the frozen vinegar cubes are the pro move. Turn on your cold water at a trickle. Not full blast, just a steady thin stream. And I want to emphasize cold water here. Always use cold water with your disposal, not just for cleaning, but every single time you run it. Here's why. Cold water keeps fats and grease solid. When grease is solid, the impellers can break it up and flush it down the drain. Hot water melts grease into a liquid, and that liquid coats the inside of your pipes and eventually hardens further downstream, causing clogs. Cold water, always. Now flip the wall switch and turn the disposal on. You're going to hear a loud, aggressive grinding sound. That's normal. That's the ice doing its job, bouncing around the chamber, scouring the impeller plate, scrubbing the grind ring. Let it run until the grinding sound stops and it smooths out to its normal hum. That usually takes about 30 to 45 seconds. When it's done, turn the unit off. Keep the water running for another 15 seconds to flush everything through, then look down in there with your flashlight again. You're going to see black flecks and slime in the water. That's the gunk that was living on your grind ring and impeller plate. That's the stuff that's been making your kitchen smell. It's satisfying and a little disgusting at the same time. And listen to the disposal. Next time you run it with regular food, you'll notice the grinding sound is crisper, cleaner. That's your proof it worked. Now, if this kind of practical plumbing knowledge is something you want more of, I have written a guide called 50 Easy Plumbing Fixes that will save you $10,000. It is packed with repairs you can do yourself this weekend without calling a plumber. Scan the QR code right now or check the first link below. All right, let us continue. Here's where most people stop, and it's exactly where they shouldn't. You've cleaned the grind chamber, and that's great. But the number one source of garbage disposal odor isn't actually the grind ring or the impeller plate. It's the splash guard, that black rubber flap at the top of your disposal. The one with the flaps that hang down to keep food from flying back up at you. Flip those flaps up, or better yet, pull the whole splash guard out. On most units, it just pops out with a little upward pressure and a twist. Some are held by a retaining ring you can pry off with a flathead screwdriver. Once you've got it out or flipped up, look at the underside. I'm warning you, it's not pretty. You're going to see a layer of black biofilm. It's slimy. It smells terrible. And it's been sitting there collecting bacteria every single time you run water or grind food. This is your real smell factory. Grab an old toothbrush or a small scrub brush and some dish soap. Scrub every fold and flap of that splash guard thoroughly. Get into the grooves where the rubber folds over on itself. That's where the worst buildup hides. If it's really bad, soak the entire splash guard in a bowl of straight white vinegar for about 15 to 20 minutes, then scrub it. You'll be amazed at what comes off. While the splash guard is out, take your brush and scrub the lip of the disposal opening too. The metal ring where the splash guard sits. That area collects buildup that never gets rinsed away during normal use. Once everything is scrubbed clean, pop the splash guard back in, make sure it's seated properly, and you've just eliminated probably 80% of the odor source that the ice and vinegar alone can't reach. Now let's finish with a scent treatment that actually works. Grab 2 or 3 citrus peels, lemon, lime, orange, whatever you've got. Cut them into strips about 1 inch wide. Drop them into the disposal, run the cold water at a trickle, and turn the unit on. Let it grind the peels for about 10 to 15 seconds. The citrus oils released during grinding are a natural deodorizer, and they leave behind a clean, fresh scent that lasts for hours. This isn't just masking the smell. The citric acid actually helps break down residual grease. If you want to go one step further, pour about half a cup of baking soda into the disposal after the citrus. Let it sit for 5 minutes without running water. Then rinse it through with cold water while running the unit for a few seconds. The baking soda neutralizes any remaining acid and absorbs lingering odors. It's optional, but it's a nice finishing touch. Your disposal should smell noticeably different right now. Clean, citrusy, and nothing like what you started with. Now turn the disposal on with cold water running and listen. You should hear a crisp, even grinding sound. If you had buildup before, you probably got used to a sluggish or rough sound and thought that was normal. This is what normal actually sounds like. The disposal should spin up quickly, run smoothly, and when you turn it off, it should wind down without wobbling or rattling. If you hear a clean hum with no grinding hesitation, you're in great shape. The sound difference alone tells you the impeller plate and grind ring are clean and spinning freely. That's your confirmation. Now let me give you 2 essential tricks every homeowner should know about their disposal, because these come up all the time. First, the reset button. If your disposal suddenly stops working, you flip the switch and nothing happens. No hum, no sound at all. Look at the bottom of the unit underneath your sink. You'll see a small red or black button. That's the thermal overload reset. When the motor overheats or gets jammed, it trips that button to protect itself. Press it in until it clicks. Then try the switch again. 9 times out of 10. That fixes a dead disposal without a service call. Second, the hex key socket. If your disposal is humming but not spinning, you hear the motor trying to engage, but the plate isn't moving, it's jammed. Do not, and I mean do not, put your hand inside the disposal to try to free it. Instead, look at the very center of the bottom of the unit. You'll see a hex socket. Most disposals come with a small Allen wrench that fits it, usually a 1/4 inch hex key. Insert the wrench into that socket and manually crank it back and forth. You're turning the impeller plate by hand to free whatever is jammed, usually a bone fragment, a fruit pit, or a piece of silverware that fell in. Once it moves freely, remove the wrench. Hit the reset button just in case. Run cold water and turn the unit on. The jam should be cleared. These 2 fixes, the reset button and the hex key, solve about 90% of disposal problems without spending a dime. Let's go over some common issues you might run into so you're prepared. First, the disposal still smells after cleaning. If you did the ice and vinegar treatment but skipped the splash guard, that's almost certainly where the odor is coming from. Go back, pull that splash guard out, and scrub it down. The biofilm on the underside is the usual culprit. Second, water is draining slowly after running the disposal. This usually means food particles aren't being flushed through completely. Run cold water for at least 15 to 20 seconds after you turn the disposal off. Most people shut the water off too soon and leave ground food sitting in the drain line. Third, the disposal vibrates or rattles loudly during use. Something hard is in the chamber. A small bone, a piece of glass, a stray bottle cap. Turn the unit off, kill the breaker, use a flashlight and a pair of needle-nose pliers to fish it out. Never use your fingers. Fourth, the unit hums, but won't spin even after using the hex key. The motor might be seized. Try the hex key again with a little more force, rocking it back and forth. If it absolutely won't budge, the motor bearings may be shot, and at that point, you're looking at a replacement. A new disposal runs between $150 and $300 installed, so it's worth trying the hex key a few more times before you make that call. Fifth, you notice leaking from the bottom of the unit. This usually means the internal seals have failed. Unfortunately, this isn't a repair. It's a replacement situation. The good news is that a disposal swap is a pretty straightforward job if you've got basic tools, and I've got a guide for that in my book. Here's that bonus tip I promised at the beginning. Your 2-minute monthly maintenance schedule. Do this once a month and your disposal will run clean, smell fresh, and last years longer than a unit that gets used hard and never maintained. On the first of every month, or whatever day you pick, do this. Fill the disposal with ice cubes. Pour 1 cup of white vinegar over the top. Run cold water at a trickle, and turn the unit on until the grinding stops. That's 60 seconds. Then pull the splash guard, give it a quick scrub with a toothbrush and dish soap, and pop it back in. That's another 30 seconds. Finally, grind 2 or 3 citrus peels with cold water running. 15 seconds. Total time, under 2 minutes. That's it. That simple routine prevents the biofilm buildup on your splash guard, keeps the grind ring and impeller plate free of caked-on residue, and eliminates odors before they start. I do this in my own kitchen, and I cannot remember the last time my disposal smelled like anything other than clean. Compare that 2 minutes a month to the alternative. Persistent odor complaints, a service call that runs you $100 or more just for someone to show up, or a premature disposal replacement that costs $150 to $300. 2 minutes a month versus hundreds of dollars. That math is easy. Set a reminder on your phone. Stick a note on the fridge. Whatever works for you. Just make it a habit, and your disposal will thank you. That wraps it up. If this was useful, you will love the full book. 50 step-by-step plumbing fixes with diagrams, all in one guide. Link is below. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the next video. Thanks for watching. You now know more about your garbage disposal than most homeowners ever will. You know there are no blades. You know how the impellers and grind ring actually work. You know why cold water matters every single time. And you've got a cleaning routine that takes less time than brushing your teeth. Take 2 minutes this weekend, do the ice and vinegar treatment, scrub that splash guard, and grind some citrus peels. You'll notice the difference immediately. I'll catch you in the next one.